Ladies and gentlemen, people with jobs, people without jobs, middle class, upper class, high class, all that.
We're Dragging the Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Juan Sanchez, and today we have a very special episode.
As y'all know what it is, we're giving y'all 5 seconds to go get your drink so we can sound a whole lot better. One. All right, man, here we go. Let me know when you're ready. Let's see, this say record? All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. For Dragging the Line podcast, I'm your host with the most, Juan Sanchez, and joining me live on Zoom is junior welterweight contender Steven Galeano, fighting out of New York, New York. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Before we get started, I did want to be the first to congratulate you. This summer, I saw that you graduated. You got your degree on Bachelor's of Arts in Mass Comm. So congratulations, man, especially doing that and being a professional. That's kudos to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, boss.
No worries. So what I wanted to do is, I know that you just turned 22 and, you know, you've been a professional for 2 years and 9 years amateur. Does this sound right? And you managed to stay in school during all that. What is a success on were you able to manage school, career, the pandemic all last year? Because it wasn't an easy road.
It wasn't easy. I'll be honest. Like, especially as the pandemic hit and everything went virtual, it was a tough adjustment. Honestly, like, even when I speak to people who do virtual classes now, like, everyone is in agreement. Like, in-person classes is so much easier. And I'll be honest, it's difficult trying to juggle school and, you know, trying to get a degree and become a professional fighter. It's two tough things to juggle. It's two things you have to separate. It's two completely different lives. But I'll be honest, my older brother did it. Christopher Galeano, he became a professional boxer in the midst of, you know, getting his bachelor's degree in business management. And I seen all the struggles he went through, but he also made a lot of mistakes and made sure I kind of didn't go down the same road with some of the things he made some minor mistakes that, you know, made things a little bit rougher than it needed to be. So he kind of just showed the way to just make things a little bit smoother. It wasn't easy. You know, that going that path was never going to be easy, but seeing him in motion and actually making it happen, it just showed me that I as well can do it as well.
No, that's awesome. So your brother kind of paved that blueprint on the way for you to show you that, and he was also one of the reasons why you started boxing, right?
Yeah, I began boxing 2 years after he initially started. I wasn't serious at first, but, you know, just being around him and seeing everything he accomplished, it was tough because as his little brother and him having a big name in the amateurs and as a young prospect, you know, I had a lot of shoes to fill. But, you know, like I said, he paved the way for me and allowed me to eventually become my own name, you know, and create my own name and my own accomplishments, not kind of just, you know, piggyback of what he was doing. No, you know, like, he just showed the way, and, you know, he let his mistakes not be my mistakes, and everything he did well, he made sure I did it even greater.
That's awesome. Now, talk to a little bit about your very first fight. You know, I think that you weren't given a fair opportunity because you were like right when the pandemic started, right? It was like December, or were you able to have a crowd on your first fight?
So my first fight was about 3 months before the pandemic. I was able to squeeze in 2 fights before the pandemic, and when everything shut down, it was like, whoa, I got 2 fights in 4 weeks, and now we never know when boxing is gonna return. So it was tough, you know, like getting 2 fights in, kind of getting your feet wet in the pro ranks, learning what works well for you, and then having to just shut everything down. It was tough at first, especially in New York, since the regulations are so much more, you know, tougher than other states.
Yeah. I actually wore this because because you're from New York. So, but I'm originally from Texas. So I was like, I always showed up. Now, your fight, your experience on your very first fight, was it everything you dreamed of from the first round to the training to camp? How was that feeling?
It, I'll be honest, like everything, even to now, like everything really hasn't hit me. Um, like my first fight, everything happened to me. Like I feel like everything happened so fast, and to this
Mhm.
day, it kind of feels like a dream when I think about it. Turning professional actually was something I had given up on before. I had, in 2017, I had quit boxing. I was out the gym for 10, 11 months, and turning professional was something that I never dreamed of. I'll be honest, I could have been a, good amateur, but I never thought turning professional would be something that would actually happen. And, you know, my manager, Adam Glenn, has kept me so busy that I've never really been able to sit down and realize like this is actually happening. We've kind of just been growing nonstop with every accomplishment. I'm just looking towards the next goal. So, man, my pro debut was just, it felt like a blur.
Yeah, I saw that it all went by fast. Now, the weight class that you're in, junior middleweight. I mean, of course, we all know that it's stacked, right? You are a few rounds away from facing fellow prospects. Are you in any rush to start facing them, or are you just taking it round by round? Like, just how are you
I'm not in
handling that
a
right now?
rush. Yeah, like I'm not in a rush to face them, but I'm looking to face them. I actually this tomorrow night, June 18th, I was actually, I'll just tell my side of the story. I was actually supposed to fight on Showbox tomorrow night on Showtime, and I was supposed to fight this fellow 8-0 undefeated prospect. I won't say any names or anything, and the fight had gotten pushed back to August. It had gotten postponed. The fight was agreed to, at least on my end, the fight was agreed to, was gonna happen. I had been contacted in late April, so we had a lefty camp already planned out. And actually, since the fight was pushed back to early August, we both agreed to take stay busy fights, and he actually lost his stay busy fight. So that fight is off, and I'm just looking to stay busy, but I'm looking to fight, top, fellow prospects very soon. I'm in the gym, I'm fighting, I'm sparring top guys, getting in there with the best of the best, and I've had unbelievable camps so far.
Mhm.
So I'm looking to take tough fights.
Yeah,
Definitely looking to take tough fights.
you currently right now are in the camp, and you mentioned Lefty. So was that the reason why you're at the camp where you're at now?
So I was actually gonna fight a lefty.
Oh, okay, okay.
This opportunity to, yeah, I was actually gonna fight a lefty on that Showbox card. Um, I'm currently in camp with Vasily Lomachenko.
Hmm.
That kind of just came
Oh, okay,
as a random opportunity.
gotcha.
But when I left to camp, the fight for Showbox is already set. So I was like, I'm gonna get such a head start training with Lomachenko for this fight, and then going into another camp to finish, the entirety of the camp for this fight. And even though that kind of went down the wayside, you know, there's a lot of good lefties at 140. So, this opportunity to train with Lomachenko is gonna help me big time moving forward.
Yeah, and as a professional, I mean, I know in amateurs you probably faced a lot and sparred a lot, but in a professional world, is there? I mean, I'm just saying it. I'm looking at it as a fan. Do you think that sometimes you have to pull back a little bit so that if you ever have to face, like, let's say you ever have to face Lomachenko, or is this just like normal in the professional world? You spar and you train the way you set to be.
Um, in which way do you mean pull back?
Well, think of it like, like whenever you play sports, because boxing is a one man sport, like in soccer, like whenever you practice, a scrimmage is very different from, full force or practice. Do you take it like, professional boxers take it as a practice, or this is game time? I guess that's what I always wanted to find out.
Um, I say when you have top fighters in there, it's game time. It's game time.
It's game time. Okay.
And yeah, especially, right now Lomachenko, he's finishing up camp for his fight next week, so we've really been high intensity. Like I've been with him for 4 weeks. It's been high intensity, and when I'm sparring, fellow other top guys, whether they're in or around my weight class, like it's always high intensity. You just got to be able to handle the heat and be willing to get in there. But it's something I love. I love that.
No. And another question I meant to ask is, a lot of prospects, like yourself, or you fighting 4, maybe 5 fights a year, where champions are fighting twice a year, maybe even 3 sometimes. What's the reason behind that? Is that because you wanting to be higher in the rankings for that opportunity, or is it because your legs are fresh and you can turn back and do the training on that?
Yeah, I feel like as a young prospect, like, once you get to that level where you can fight 2-3 times a year, it's when you're in more meaningful fights, and definitely the pay, at that level is a lot bigger, which comes with more responsibility. You're fighting tougher guys, you're in tougher camps, and I guess, at that level, these guys are having full-blown 8 to 12 week camps, spending time away from their family. It could be very stressful. Even as a young prospect, I'm regularly away from home, in training camps, spending 4 or 5 weeks away from my family, and it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you just want to take a step back and just enjoy some time. So I could only imagine being at that level where you have to be away from family for 8 to 12 weeks, just focus on one fight. It could definitely be mentally and physically stressful, just aside from the whole phenomenon of preparing for a fight.
Now, in something that I saw on your social media, you're a huge dog lover, and I saw that. I saw your dogs. When you're on training, who's with them?
My dad
Okay.
is there full time with, and my dad works full time from home, and we have a bunch of space back home. So it's our hobby. Like it initially started, we needed protection for the property, but he ended up falling so in love with the breed that now he has 4 of them.
I know that they're huge.
Yeah, they're huge, and to be honest, like they're his babies. Like they're very protective, but he just loves having them. It's kind of a hobby, but it's also in a way a stress relief for him. Just to spend time with the dogs and just enjoy their presence. It's very common. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, as far as your fights, when you made the jump from amateur to the pro level, was the skill level, were you ready whenever you made the move? Were your opponents around the same, or was it an adjustment? You could tell the difference between an amateur and a professional. Like, was it a different jump in the level? Yeah.
Yeah, not so much my opponents, but more so like the camps. In the amateurs, I was only, you was able to cheat a lot in the amateurs. You only fighting 3 rounds, so all you got to do is just run a little bit, train, spar. But in the professionals, it's just the physics. It's kind of like, I'd compare it to any other sport, like college football to, pro football. The physicality level, it's so much more enduring. Like it's tough. You got to be willing to withstand a lot more, and not be able to, not more so take. It's hit and not get hit, but
yeah,
the physicality in there, it's unreal. It's unreal. But once you make those adjustments, it's very smooth. But initially it was something I struggled with. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with that. I was able to, just box around in the amateurs, but once I turned pro, started getting in there with those experienced, veterans, like in the gym, man, those guys are rough. Those guys are rough, but
That work ethic had to change quick.
yeah, but they helped me grow quickly, and just telling me what they did in the just in the gym, physically, with how to change my running, how to adjust, how to add weight training into my into my regimen, adding real strength and conditioning. It was an adjustment, but thankfully it's going all smooth now.
The adjustment whenever you trained for camp, what was the biggest thing you think that changed you as far as training or what you ate? Like, what was the hardest part for you adjusting?
So I think the two hardest parts was initially adding in weights. I didn't know how to use any weight at all. I never, and it's not more so like, trying to muscle all up. No, it's just, knowing how to stretch the body and just touch, very small parts, throughout your body with weights that can just strengthen your body as a whole. And then the second part was with my trainer, Jose Guzman, like in implementing a pro style. I was very amateurish at times, as I was trying to transition, but he made the transition from amateur to pro style very smooth.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to speak with him, and then some of the guys in your camp, and they all say the same. I mean, it's like you guys are a family, man. I see, y'all train together, work out together, share best practices, and I think that you have that opportunity because everyone is in the same level, wanting to, go high in the ranking. So I thought that was cool. Is this the first? Did you start your career with Coach Jose, or was this your first fight with him in the camp?
So I originally had a different trainer for my first two fights, and once the pandemic hit, I kind of, it was a chance for me to step back since not much was going on. I took a step back and really reflected on how I was going and just speaking with my manager on how I could just make different changes that could take my game to the next level. I didn't feel like where I was at the moment or where I was going was gonna bring out the full potential in me. And eventually I linked up with Jose as the pandemic progressed, and we ended up linking out in different camps, and we started growing together, and I started seeing the improvements working with him, and it became a full-time thing, and we just have a great connection, and our relationship so far is just breeding great results, and to be honest, as we continue to put more work in, like, I'm excited for the future. His style of training, and my style as a fighter and how I get things, done, we just mesh extremely well. We have a great understanding for each other, and that's not easy to get so fast. We figured that out so fast, and he has that confidence in me. He knows I have experience, and, just him having that confidence in me just brings out even more.
That's awesome. Now, being young, you're the new generation of boxing, futures boxing, right? When I think of that, I think, because I'm 40, so I'm one of them old folks over here. Not old, but I'm old. Now, I like where the sport is going, with Trilla and having, the shows and all that. So I think that's going to be something that you're going to experience more often because I feel like it's just going to grow. It's just obvious because of social media. Do you think, is it going to be a distraction in the very beginning for the sport or for yourself? Or do you think the professional in you is already know that you already have a job to do and that's just fight and just don't matter what's around you?
I'd say, I mean, just be a professional, but I feel like all these platforms and everything, it's bringing something new to boxing, and they're they're spending a lot of money to put on a lot of fights, and fighters a lot of fighters are getting great opportunities and earning great money that they otherwise wouldn't get. So I just feel like as long as these new platforms are able to bring in something that's sustainable and not just a 1 or 2 year thing that fighters could just, get a quick money grab, if they could bring in a model that's, consistent and long term, I feel like that will only help the sport continue growing. I love these platforms, and they're throwing on dope shows. I'm not gonna lie.
They are. I mean, they actually are. It's almost like, you can see J Lo throw a movie like, hey. Now, the other thing that I was going to mention is, since you turned pro, have you met any boxers that growing up you looked up to, and just kind of like just talk to them? You don't have to say names, but were you able to meet some of the ones you admired?
Man, not yet, but I've met several boxers that growing up, I've seen them fight on TV, and just being able to talk with them, it's just been so dope, And right now, like being in camp with Lomachenko, like this is a guy I've been watching since I was about 13, 14, like watching him run through the amateur ranks and, just being around him, on a, consistently every week for a whole month and just seeing his mentality and just being able to speak with him on how he thinks about things. It's been super humbling. And also to get that high intensity work with such a great champion like him, man, it's taking my game to another level, especially being here, without my coach, with him having the confidence, knowing that I'm at the level as a young prospect that I can handle myself as a 22-year-old undefeated prospect. It brought me over here already with that confidence, but just learning from Lomachenko and just picking his brains, I feel like he's had the biggest impact on me so far, in and out the ring.
Yeah, I noticed in your last fight, when you knocked your opponent down with body shots, it dawned on me. I'm like, man, you just started being a professional. And something that I noticed is like when you were hitting the body shots, when you heard them and you knocked him down the first time, you were calm. You were still, because usually people want to go for the wild shots and the hooks and the uppercuts, but you just went at it at the body. And in my head, I was like, that showed that you had a long career in the amateurs, or that you're a student of the game. That says a lot, like, because I watch a lot of boxing. The reason why I bring that up is because you just started and you noticed that. Now, when you're learning, and you just said that your coach just, admitted, hey, you were able to, go to the camp without him, and because you learned. What is something that you could say to the fans that's going to make you that champion? What do we got to look at when we see you fight? What is something that we can think of and be like, oh, this guy's, he's a real deal. This guy's a champion.
I'm tall and strong for my weight class. Young. I'm willing to take on tough fights. I'm a humble, young warrior, and I got skills as well. But like I said, when you put a lot of these things together, I'm a dangerous boxer puncher. I fight with my distance, but I'm also looking to hurt guys at the same time, taking my time while doing that. I'm not looking to just go in there and knock guys out. Maybe the guys I'm fighting, if I went in there and try to blast them out, I probably could. I know I do hit hard enough to do that, but that's not going to work at the next level. I'm trying to create those habits now that when I step up into 8, 10, and 12 rounders, I have habits I'm able to take with me because I've been growing them, being patient, taking out guys early on. Whether they go 2 or 4 rounds, I'm just looking to break guys down mentally and physically. And I feel like that's what's going to take me to the next level. Like, I'm an exciting fighter, and I'm looking to put pain on dudes. And just I'm an exciting body puncher as well. I love throwing to the
I saw
body.
that. Yeah, I saw that.
I love throwing the left hook. So, I feel like when the fans look at me, they'll reminisce of other fighters of the past. Tall, skinny fighters who put pain on guys. So I hope I bring those vibes back, those old school vibes.
There you go. Now, growing up, who would you consider one of the who did you look at film a lot and try to mimic and look at the ring experience when you were younger?
One guy I really looked up to a lot was Kell Brook. Kell Brook,
Oh,
he's
okay.
just, he was, I feel like skill wise and, the way he takes his training so seriously, his physicality and, making sure he just doesn't look the part, but is the part. As a boxer puncher was the epitome of what I wanted to be as a professional fighter. Like he he'll stand in the middle of the ring with guys boxing with him, but breaking them down bit by bit. And that's the kind of fighter I can see I see him and I'm like, the little things he does are things I would love to add to my game. So he's a guy I've watched tons of videos on. And he was a guy I was actually watching a bit before he became world champion. And just seeing the way he stepped up his game as the competition, grew
Hmm.
was dope,
Yeah.
and watching him and just a lot of the stuff he does, he's super skillful and strong, and he's the epitome of the kind of boxer puncher I would like to be one day.
No, let's go. Even outside of the ring, he's awesome. Switching gears to outside of the ring, do you have any like nonprofits or try to help the community when you get to that certain level? Is there anything in the works that you plan on doing, to take advantage of you being a professional?
I would love to be active. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I lived there for the first 16 years of my life, and I want to be active. I feel like, with the way the city has gotten so expensive and tough to live in, financially, a lot of, a lot of programs that allow kids to go into training, boxing, stuff like boxing, baseball, football. These kids were able to go to police athletic clubs and train for free. And a lot of these kids became champions,
Hmm.
in the amateurs, in the pros. And we just don't have that accessibility anymore, so trying to be trying to be a gateway and trying to let the youth know that despite the changes, because I kind of came up in that right in the middle of it all, right when it was towards the end of where it was all available to where it was all taken away.
Yeah.
If my dad was so tough on me, in school and making sure I was training hard, I probably wouldn't be nowhere near the fighter. I wouldn't never went far in my amateur career. I probably would have quit boxing early on. So a lot of these kids don't have that support. I was blessed to have that. So kind of being a point of contact in my community would be a dream for me one day. That would be an absolute dream.
No, it's well said because when I was doing the research on you, I was excited to talk to you. You're one of the few who graduated. Waited. You have a long amateur career. You had struggles up and down, passing of family members, and your story is there to share. So you lived it all. Even you said outside of the ring, there was a moment where the road's not easy, and I think because you have that off the ring, you're able to share that. I mean, people are gonna remember you inside and outside of the ring. I can already tell, man. Like just everything you have, and so I'm excited for what the
And
future
that
holds for you.
I appreciate that, and all of that humbled me. In my household, we're not extravagant or anything like that. I'm super quiet, and I mean, even though my resume will speak for myself, um, I'm not a man of too many words when it comes to, going back and forth with fighters or anything like that. So I guess that's why I'm so overlooked. I dominated the amateurs in New York. Yeah, I don't get no respect as an upcoming New York fighter. But I feel like that's because I don't have much to say. I'm results driven. I know as I get into those tougher fights and I start really making progress towards the next level, I'm, I'm gonna open up a lot more. But I feel like due to, me being so humble at the moment, it's kind of, guys look at me and they're like, oh man, he went to college. He ain't no fighter. He ain't no fighter, man. And to be honest, like you said, I've been through a lot, in and out the gym, in my life. I've been through a lot, and that really molded me. And that's why I'm a quiet beast.
Yeah. When I was doing my research, you kind of reminded me of late '90s, early 2000s. His name was Juan Baby Boy Diaz. He was a champion, and he was from Houston, went to school and started pro. So when I followed you, I was like, oh man, hopefully it turns out that way, that you're able to become champion while he was going to school. He actually retired early and continued going to school. That's what I found out eventually.
Diaz was champion at 21, 22 years old. My dad loves him. Like, when it comes to being a role model in boxing, he's one of the guys that my dad constantly just always mentions. Like, just the amount of business he has now, like, everything he accomplished outside of boxing. Like, he's a guy that my dad always loved to watch, and always rooted for, because he was that rare breed. He was that rare breed. So
yeah,
he's someone I look up to.
Absolutely. I mean, I live in Austin, Texas. Houston, a couple of hours away. So when I thought of that story, when I thought of him, I thought of you immediately. So that it's funny. I'm comparing you guys, like you said, little by little. But Champ, before I let you go, because I know you're running short on time, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Quick questions, quick answers. Okay?
I got all the time. Don't worry about it.
All right. What did you learn about yourself during the pandemic?
I just learned how to, take more control of my career. As a professional, I have a great manager, and he's always, him along with my father, or just always making sure that I'm peaking, and getting the best, out of my skill set and talent, moving forward. So I really learned how to just take control of my career, take care of myself better physically and mentally, and just continue training hard and just learning how to be a true professional. I spent a lot of time away from home to train because New York, was so restricted. So I learned a lot, just being away from my family, and I did a lot of new things that I never done before, things that I never thought I was gonna do, but it allowed me to grow as a fighter so fast.
That's
like
awesome.
Beyond quick. And I feel like if I could grow that fast, in just 12 months, 11, 12 months, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen within the next few years.
Awesome. What plans do you have this summer after your fight in July?
So
Do
after
you have
my
any
fight in
plans?
July, I'm gonna stay in the gym, but I'm actually gonna make a transition to Florida. I'm gonna be moving to Florida to get just a different scene. I feel like if I'm gonna get my max potential as a fighter, I feel like it would be best to just get away from my hometown and try something new. So I feel like just as a person and as a fighter, making that transition to Florida is gonna be an amazing move for me, and I feel like it's gonna be great for my career.
Awesome. July 10th. Is your fight announced? I didn't know if I can say that.
No, no,
Is
no.
it, is
Yeah,
it,
my
oh,
fight.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, just want to make sure. On July the 10th, have you picked a song that you're gonna walk into the ring with?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So July 10th, I'm actually coming out to Mike Towers, but he has two different songs that I'm debating. He has two different songs that I'm debating.
All right,
You
all right.
know, it depends on fight night how I'm feeling, but I'm gonna be coming out to Mike Towers.
Okay, all right. In your opinion, who's the greatest boxer of all time?
I feel like because everything he did, not just inside the ring, but outside the ring, and the icon he was, Muhammad Ali is the greatest fighter who's ever touched this earth.
Hands down. Okay. What is
Hands down.
one piece of advice that you would give the younger generation that has the dreams to be like yourself and turn pro?
Um, Take your time. You know, train hard and try to minimize the distractions that come outside of the gym. You know, just coming up, I was very undisciplined, and it caused me to miss some time. You know, I could have achieved a lot of things a lot quicker if I was, disciplined and in the gym 24/7. So just stay in the gym and just stay disciplined. If you have a dream, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy, but as long as you put the work in and just constantly surround yourself with the right people and surround yourself around other great fighters, you're gonna do a lot of great things. So just just be mentally strong and put the work in. Don't be afraid to get in there with top fighters. Just you gotta do it. So put the work in and you'll see it. The time flies.
Other than becoming a world champion, what other accomplishment do you want to do inside the ring so that you could be considered making boxing history? Is there anything else you have in mind? Because everybody wants to be champion. That's a gimme.
Um, Man, in the ring, I mean, being a champion would be beautiful, but like we alluded to earlier, just reaching the kind of notoriety to where I can give back to my community, whether it's being a point of contact. I want to be that guy that the kids see on TV and they see accomplishing his goals, and just know that I come from the same place as you. So, I mean, as my career goes, we all dream of winning that first world championship. Um, Definitely, if I'm blessed, the day I touch that first world title, I want to unify. I want to unify.
All right.
You know,
All right.
Becoming undisputed is becoming a lot more common nowadays. There's a lot more undisputed fights. So
Mhm.
just seeing that, and my division just crowned the undisputed world champion. So just seeing these top guys face each other, I like seeing that.
Well, listen, champ. It's been a privilege and an honor to have you on the show, and I feel like we'll cross paths in person, and we'll come back to the show. Anytime you want, just let us know. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jesse. And you can have me on anytime. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you.
Absolutely. And then what social media do you use so that the fans can follow you?
So my Instagram is at Steven Galeano, STEVGALEANO with an underscore at the end. The same, username is my Twitter handle, and on Facebook you could just look up Steven Galeano and you'll find me on there.
All right, everybody. That information will be on the bottom as well.